Hello and welcome back to HyperMarket Simulator. This is episode 3, and so day 3. And first thing I would say, I'll just open the shop quickly so we can start taking some sales, is just be mindful that if you do start a new game, then you will lose any progress that you've had beforehand. I don't think you can save multiple saves. So thankfully, my first playthrough, although I said I had 4 or 5 hours in, I wasn't massively that far into the game. I'm absolutely devastated, and it has worked out well to start again anyway for the purposes of this channel. Just bear that in mind. And if you're rejoining us from the last episode, you will remember that our aim is to get that first self-service checkout. So for that we need to get ourselves through the levels and get $1,000 cash in our pockets. Obviously we need slightly more than 1,000 because we'll then need to have some money to stock our shelves again, and that means that we can start to progress from doing all the sales stuff to actually stocking throughout the day, because you do need to do that fairly quickly. 50, 80, 2, 3. Somewhere I must have forgotten to round a product if we're not on big whole numbers. £1, $1.14. I thought I'd rounded all these up. Yeah, so our game plan is to get that self-service till. I'd quite like to have the little hand scanner as well, so that we can walk around and point at the things that we'd like to restock. Obviously for that to work efficiently we also need staff, so and I understand that you have to, I've made that more difficult than I need to. I understand that you have to recruit at the start of each working day, so there'll be a day rate that you pay. Obviously 0 hours contracts is still a thing. 1453. Now I do know from another playthrough actually that on the car park outside, so I'm inquisitive in nature and thought I'd have a little walk around, that there was a Minnesota police car, so that seems to be based on a real state. I don't know much about the game studio themselves other than it is Croissant. Maybe I should have a little bit more of a look into the game off camera so I can pass on some more information, but best I can tell they are in active development with this. They keep on adding improvements and different content, and they seem to be engaging with the community well also, which is always promising. There's lots of what they call early access games, seems to be the trend these days. So because games are growing in size, rather than playtesters that the developers would presumably pay, then they get the products to a kind of playable kind of condition and then make the price more reasonable so that people can kind of go in and play the game through and pass on any feedback about bugs and whatnot. So I haven't seen anything in particular at the moment. Sometimes, or when I first started I should say, trying to grab the cash out of the hand wasn't very smooth, but then what I found is that if you hold the L1 button down, and you'll scan all the items in sequence, and you can wave your controller around or your arm around the cash like so, and it will grab it. Going back to what we'd picked up from previous episodes, The gameplay loop, you start out small, as we can see, taking all the payments yourself, and then that's going to progress hopefully fairly quickly, because we will need to restock during the day. So case in point there, we are out of t-shirts, which are our best seller, so we're just going to step away from the till for a second just to restock them. And the charcoal grey is a good seller, so let's grab 2 of those. I think I've turned the sound off completely on this particular episode. I turned the music off previously, so I will have the background effects back on in a second, actually, because it feels a bit odd with it being completely silent. We do want some ambiance. Right, so that shelf is now full, because we haven't put any on any other shelves at the moment. We can start another one off because they're going to sell really well. I'll just quickly go into the settings just so that we can it does say there's ambience volume, and we'll just turn that up a little bit. Ooh. Not entirely sure what's happened there. We don't seem to have any sound at all. We'll crack on with this playthrough. So I'm going to try and keep the videos fairly brief, because I'm going to be playing this game in little fits and starts whenever I can get a bit of free time to try and get at least 1 video posted a day. So you can see I already got a bit of a head start yesterday and got 2 up there. There's also a series for Recycling Centre, and I was very happy to receive my very first comment for the channel, which was nice and positive as well, actually. So somebody has picked the game up themselves, and similar to what I do, kind of had a little look on good old YouTube to get a feel for the game, and thankfully me talking through it seemed to be a little bit helpful, or at least bearable, which is that's a starting point. Okay, 15, 16, 30 seems to be a popular amount of change at the moment. Good thing is, with this till positioning, we can see our shelves, so we can keep a little eye on when products are running low. But yeah, t-shirts are not flying off the shelves as much as they usually would. So in previous playthroughs I put those on a stand just to make it look a little bit more interesting in the windows. I'm not sure that that actually attracts any more customers, if I'm honest, but we do want our store to look nice. So in terms of the placement, I wanted the till near the door, so we got a nice flow through of footfall, so they can go over there, grab all the purchases and form a nice orderly queue. I don't think there are collision mechanics as such, so they can kind of walk through each other, and I believe then when you get your stackers, they can they don't have to navigate around all the customers either, so there's no real downside if you're
Attention shoppers, the
haven't got the
HyperMarket will be
most
closing
optimum
soon. Please proceed
store
to the
layout.
checkout
Again,
areas. Thank you for shopping with us.
Look a little bit nicer. You do seem to have a fairly wide variety of character models for our customers.
It's been a busy one.
Obviously there's some kind of very similar looking people, but with different clothes on. And you wouldn't think it would matter too much not having the sound on in the background, but it's quite noticeable actually. Oh, too much. 31, 50, 60, 70, 80, 1, 2. So the addition of a card machine would be nice. It surprises me that there's not more games like this in VR actually. So there is a kind of port of HyperMarket Simulator, or one of the
This place is always
supermarket
nice.
simulators, because there seems to be a lot with very, very similar titles. And there seems to be quite a lot of kind of PC games that have been ported over for either the PlayStation or other consoles. Obviously, VR is a bit more challenging, so as you can imagine, it's graphically not the best. And there's a little bit of jank to the movement, but what you get with that is kind of physical stuff. So as I say, with card payments, physically taking those. Okay, so how are we doing at the end of that day? We have a healthy amount of cash in the bank. We got 1,343.94, and as always, we're not going to shut up shop just yet because we want to stock up and prepare for the next day. So product wise, we'll probably again just get one of each of the products, and we could probably actually I've just remembered what the immediate aim was. We had bought a freezer pack, which means of course we need a freezer, so let's go ahead and do that. Not massively expensive. So we'll go and get that and find a nice home for it. So I always like the idea of the freezer being like an impulse buy, especially if we're going to stock it with ice creams. And you kind of, while you're queuing up in the till, you see something nice that you like. Again, that's not part of the gameplay mechanic. So what we might do is we're going to start by having some shelving there, and we'll start to move that across as well, and then we'll have a little freezer section I think over here. So just for now we'll put it close to but not immediately next to the shelves, just to break up the space a little bit. So the grid lines on the floor are quite useful to make sure that you got things nicely lined up. It's not quite on the wall, but neither are shelves at the moment. I won't tinker too much with that whilst I'm filming, but I might do that sort of thing at the start of an episode quickly. Okay, so let's buy some freezer products, because when they are delivered there is a time limit to that, so you can't hear it at the moment, but there's like a ticking clock noise. And obviously, whilst they're out there, they are defrosting. So you got to grab them quick and get them stocked up. So I reckon I'm probably going to try and round that up to 8:30. Again, just to squeeze a little bit more profit margin, but more importantly, to help us give the change nice and quickly. Certainly going to at least round that up to 6.90. So we go over to the sign and press L1 to adjust the price, and then we can move it up in those increments. So just knock it up to 6.90. I think we might be a bit greedy to try and push that up to $7, but we will push this up to 8.30. So now we've got our freezer products, And as I say, the tutorial, so as you can see up in the top right, the objectives want you to kind of motor through, actually, probably just to show you the different options that you can open up, but I don't really feel there's a need to expand our space just yet, because otherwise we're going to have a massive expanse that's not very full. So the plan is going to be, as I mentioned, to get the self-service till. We'll get some nice displays to put in the window here. Then when we do expand, then I think this side of the store is going to become a little bit of storage so that we can stock our purchases rather than making them through the day, and then get our restockers to help us out. So let's get our shelves ready for business before we end the video. If you're enjoying this type of format where we just kind of do the game in real time, and you pop that down in the comments, that's good feedback for me. And because what I could do is potentially do a lot of the kind of restocking stuff, the repetitive stuff off camera, and kind of make the videos about key moments, so that it's more of a series as you see more of what the game has to offer. That's that, nice and restocked. So just to quickly recap the top tips, as certainly in my opinion as I've found them, is the store layout really helps you out. So if you can have your till and your computer pretty close by and your shelves in your eye line, then you can keep a close eye on your stock and see when it needs doing. That means you can just step away from the till quite quickly early game. I think we're going to have some leftovers here. Oh no, that's nice, that's filled it up completely. So, as you can see, the box looks empty, but if I go over to the recycling bin, it's not wanting to throw it away, and that's because there is a product in there. There's one. So what I'm going to do is you can't take it out. We're going to plop that down over here for now, so that it's not in the way of the customers. So again, although there aren't collision mechanics, we don't want boxes clogging up our aisles. There we go. That's our eggs restocked. And so we've got $514 there. I think it probably makes sense to get some more of the t-shirts because they sell well and there's good profit margin. And that should set us up for the following day. So you can stock quite a few of these on the shelves, which is nice. I'll take that one off there because there is space on there for it. And what that means is, I'll just put this in the recycling. What that means is that you can then remove the label, remove the tag from that shelf. If there's a tag on a shelf, then you can only stock it with that particular product. So because I want to expand this, so we're going to hopefully have our dry goods here. As you can see, we got a little bit, our first beginnings of a freezer section. We got some clothing here. Then I'd like to be able to open up the bakery products and kind of keep our layout nice and organized, because early game you want to maximize what you're selling and you'll have a bit of a mishmash of stuff. So I suppose it's really personal preference, is that you could do that and then kind of reorganize as you go through your store and expand it. So $414 doesn't leave us an awful lot to play with at this particular moment in time, but let's see, just have a little look at that self-service till and what we need to get there. So we need to be level 12 and it's going to cost us $1,000. So hopefully we're just shy of level 9, so we should be able to motor through that quite quickly, and then we can start to open up some of these licenses. As you can see there, we can now buy the sweet and savoury pack, which will give us different products. So looks like crisps, peanut butter, honey, chocolate, those sorts of things, and hopefully we can expand fairly quickly. So we'll call that episode 3. Hope you're enjoying the series. Really appreciate the comments if people take the time out to add them in there. A thumbs up does the same thing, really appreciate that. And I know I say it in every video, but that subscribe button really is free. It does take a second, and that means that if you do enjoy the videos, rather than having to search for them, just click on the channel and you can see what is new in the series or what else I might have on there. And we've got 2 series running at the moment, and I'm open to suggestions of adding a third. I do film the content around my working day and family life, so if I could keep those to kind of half-hour kind of bursts so that I can get them captured and uploaded and keep that content coming, that's the aim. I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.